In June, California embarked on a brand new electoral experiment, and that is the top two primary. When voters went to the polls on June 5th, voters chose from among a whole list of candidates, that is, candidates running in all parties, any and all parties, and the top two winners were able to move on to the general election here coming up in November. Now, this meant that in some cases, two Democrats were the winners, and they're moving on, and they're going to face each other, and two Republicans might be facing each other. In fact, that's the case in 19 races from Congress to Assembly to Senate, and that's for Democrats only. And then it's also the case for at least 8 races where Republicans will be facing another Republican. This really does pose some interesting dilemmas for some voters. For example, if you're a Republican in a district where two Democrats are facing off against each other, you don't really have a chance to select your top choice. Your choice might have been a Republican. That choice was made for you back in June, when only 31% of California's registered voters went to the polls. There have been some voices being raised against this situation because, in fact, write-ins will not be allowed in November. So there really is no way for a person on the other side of a race, or that is a voter who does not share the partisanship of the top two candidates, to actually make one's voice heard. So this will be challenged. It's not entirely clear when it will and if it will be resolved in the voters' favor, but the arrangement was set up, in fact, to increase the voices of people like independents who don't generally get a chance to voice or really weigh in at the primary stage. So while it does, in fact, increase the chance that voters, independent voters, will actually have a voice in the primaries, which are held well in advance of the general election, when it comes time for that voting in November, well, you might be out of luck if your candidate, in fact, didn't have a chance to make it to the top two. And this also excludes third-party members as well. There are no third parties who are represented in the general election now, because all of the candidates who are participating in the general election, in fact, represent the two major parties, Democrat and Republican.